What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, this is TWA Motorsports, and oh my gosh, guys, what a hectic week. We've had some breakdowns, we've had some car sales, we've had a purchase, and I'm going to update you guys on all that today, as well as we're going to go get one of the broken down ones that you just saw. So what's going on? Well, you can see that in the shop here, I got my dad's truck, which you guys are going to see very soon. I've got the green truck and the C10 out of here because we need to get the trailer over. Guys, this garage door still does not work, and so I really need to get that fixed. So I got to get the trailer hooked up so we can go get the Yukon. So yeah, besides the Yukon breaking down, I decided about a week ago I was going to take the 55 out for a drive. I got it running, right? So we've got new fuel pump, carburetor rebuilt, everything seemed to be going well. Took it over kind of about 10 miles across town, or 10 miles total drive, about 5 miles there, it ran great. On the way back, it died, wouldn't start. It's not getting any fuel again. So I don't know if the fuel pump's bad, so I probably should film all this stuff, but we toted it home with the Yukon that's actually broke down that you saw just going on the trailer. And anyway, so that was the first part of the week. The other part is, obviously we've got this guy here I bought thinking maybe we could pull a lawnmower trailer with. Well, that didn't work out. My son drives a G8, and obviously that's not gonna pull a lawnmower trailer. So ultimately it comes down to the white Yukon and the gold or the silver birch Yukon. And honestly, guys, I listed the white Yukon for sale, and I had somebody coming to look at it. So he couldn't take it because I needed it here so somebody could look at it. And like I said, I told you guys I may end up selling that thing. And so I decided to list it just to see. Somebody decided they wanted to come. And so in the meantime, he took the silver birch Yukon up to Springfield, which is about 30 miles for me to mow. And it's broke down. And we'll talk more about that here in a minute. But the white Yukon sold. Well, at the same time, I listed his G8 because he's been talking about going to a truck or maybe something else. And I thought, well, we'll list it because those things, because it's a 6-cylinder, not a V8, they're not as popular. So I listed it. Well, guess what? At the same time, the guy wanted to come see the Yukon. Somebody wanted to come see his G8, and so now we sold both. They actually bought the G8. The guy bought the Yukon. So we're down 2 cars. And in the midst of all that, I found a truck that I thought would work good for his lawn mowing stuff. This is not really what he wanted, but I'm gonna show it to you anyway. You can see we've got the C10 and the green truck, which by the way is running great. We'll do more on that soon. Check out what we got. Nothing real special, guys, and no plans for this because I don't need any other projects. But now my son did say, well, can we put some different wheels on it, maybe get a little lower? I don't even think I want to do that. Look, this is a lawn mowing truck, I'd call it. 2006 Silverado, 4.3 V6. It's crusty, guys. It's got rust in the rockers, both sides. It's got the bubbles over the wheel wells. It's got dings, dents. It looks like somebody spray painted the hood. Whoever did it did a terrible job. Did the same thing to the tailgate, but it runs great. I've actually probably put 500 miles on this in the last couple days. And so it's got power windows and a work truck. So it's kind of odd to have a 6-cylinder power window truck, but it was cheap, and so I bought it. And like I said, I think it'll make a great lawn mowing pulling rig unless he decides to go with the truck. Now, he's been flirting with the idea of going to an LS car, so maybe a Camaro. And so if he chooses to go to a Camaro, obviously we'll show you guys that, but if he chooses to go to a Camaro, I'm going to keep this around. But if he decides to go to a truck, which he's been talking about, then we're going to sell this. I'm going to let him pull the lawnmower with his own truck. So either way, like I said, no plans for this. I did want to show it to you because you'll probably see it in the background of other videos. But we've got the Yukon out. I literally just moved this stuff up here since this G8 normally parks up here and the Yukon's normally here. And I'm going to be taking the Yukon to pick up the other Yukon. And the G8's gone, the white Yukon's gone. Let's go get this thing hooked up to the trailer, and we'll talk about what's going on with the other Yukon if we can figure it out. I've been up there. I went up there last night to try to start it with HP tuners because I thought it was a security issue, and I can't connect through HP tuners. So we're just gonna have to do some trying to figure out what's going on. But until then, I do need to get it home. It's 30 miles away. we're gonna have to hook up the trailer. Let's go do that. All right, guys, we're on the road, locked and loaded with the trailer. So what's going on with the Yukon? Well, I have no idea. I was not in town. I was out of town, like 4 hours away, when my son calls me. My dad was with him, and he says, hey, the Yukon won't start. I'm like, what do you mean it won't start? Like, is the battery dead? You know, I've unhooked the cables before, but I know they were secure. It's never done this to me. And he said, I don't know, it just won't start. So, you know, I went through the normal things like, hey, make sure it's in park, take it. Sometimes those things, they hang up when you go from like drive to park. Maybe they don't quite get into park. So I said, you know, put the key in, try to go drive to park. They did that several times, didn't work. I said, okay, so when you're trying to start it, do the lights look like they're going dim? Maybe it's a battery, a ground, something like that. No, they're still bright. I could hear the buzzer when you open the door was making some odd sounds. Like it would go off and then it wouldn't, and then it would, and then it wouldn't. And so I told him, I said, well, lock the, you know, sometimes the security in those things, or even the clock spring in the steering wheel goes bad. So I told him, like, move the steering wheel around, jiggle the key, flip the key over, make sure the key's clean, kind of try to blow out around the key. They did all those things, nothing. So anyway, like I was saying on the security, I said, well, lock it with, get in the car, lock it with the lock or the key fob, and then manually unlock the driver's side door and try to get out and see if the alarm goes off. Well, it didn't, which leads me to believe it's probably a security issue. So I decided late last night, I'm gonna drive up there, me and my wife, and see if we can just get it started. I took my HP tuner cable and I thought, I'll just delete the VATs. It's probably what it is, and I'll drive it home. Well, I get up there and my HP tuner's cable won't connect. So there's obviously, and when I ran the codes, I could at least run the codes, and it said that there was an issue with the connection with the PCM. So my guess is there's something, either the PCM's bad or it's a security issue for some reason has went haywire. So either way, I'm gonna go load it up on the trailer. We're gonna drag it home and see if we can figure out what's going on. But like I said, it's been a hectic couple days with people wanting to come and look at vehicles, me being out of town when the Yukon breaks down, the 55 breaking down a couple days earlier. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, that's for sure. But either way, we'll get it figured out. I'll turn the camera back on when we're loading this. You guys can kind of see how my trailer works, and which is kind of cool the way it works. So I'll show you guys kind of how it tilts and how the winch works. I've actually only used the winch twice, and so we'll see. I may fumble through it because I haven't used it a bunch, but let's get up there and get this thing loaded. So here we are, and I don't know, we'll give it a shot here, but I'm sure it's not going to start. Either way, I'm going to have to put it on the trailer, but see what, I'll show you guys what it's doing. See? Nothing. So, oh well. We got the trailer up here. Let's see if we can move the steering wheel, and I'll show you guys how this trailer works, at least hopefully. I brought an extra key because sometimes you'll randomly get a key that's bad, but kind of how this trailer works, guys, is we'll pull our pins out on both sides. We need to unlatch it, and then I'll show you kind of how the electronics work here. It's kind of cool. So I've got my key fob here, but if we open this up, it's got a switch that we turn on, and we should be able to tilt it with my remote. And so see, you can see it's up now. Well, obviously, since we can't drive this thing up on here, we're gonna have to stretch our winch out. So I'm gonna put you guys down, and we'll unlatch the winch, hook up the controller for it, and see if we can winch this thing on. Well, it'd be nice if I had some tow hooks, but I don't think I do. We're gonna see if it'll pull up on here. tight fit. We are on, guys. Okay. Pretty sweet. All right, let's see if we can tilt this thing back down. My remote here. There we go. So now all we got to do is clip this thing back up, and then we'll strap her down, roll up the windows, and on we go. We now have it all strapped down, and guys, I will tell you, it's not completely centered in the trailer, but I wasn't too concerned about that. It's a pretty tight fit on this trailer, to be honest with you, but here's what I will say. The proper trailer and the proper straps make things so much easier. I guess I've never realized, like, the axle straps that this came with and these straps with the clip from Mac. Guys, this is incredible, the way I can load something so quickly that it's absolutely insane. But let's get this thing home, and I don't know whether they're going to tear it apart today, but we'll at least get it to the house and see if we can figure out what's going on with it. Well, we made it home, and man, I love this trailer, guys. You have no idea. Anyway, let's I think I'm going to put it right here for now, because my plan is, and I actually think we'll do this today, I'm going to take the computer out of this. I'm going to put it in that black truck that I showed you earlier, because I think it's a connection issue. And so we're going to at least try it. So I'm going to, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug the computer, take the actual computer out. We're going to unplug the computer in the black truck up there. We're going to see if we can read it. I'm going to try to flash it without the VATs hooked up and plug it back in and see if it goes. But either way, let's time lapse me unloading this thing, because to me, this is kind of a cool little deal, watching the trailer work and unloading and whatnot. So let's we'll set you guys up on a tripod here. I'm going to move the trailer back a little, but I'm going to kind of stab it in right here, since I don't need this first bay right now. So as I said, I'm going to try to unplug the ECM or PCM. I've got the cover off of it here. So what we need to do is, obviously there's a couple clips up top that hold it in place. I may have to get something to help pry that loose. But there's two 7mm on the center of these. If you guys have ever seen these taken out before, I'll try to show you once I get it out. But we're going to take these two 7s out. I'm going to pop that computer out, and we're going to plug it in. I may end up plugging it in my dad's truck, because I don't have, he took the black truck for mowing. So we're gonna give it a shot here. Let's get this out, see if we could swap it over to something else and get it red. I know it's kind of loud out here because my son's mowing, but here's what we got accomplished. So the black truck actually made its way back, and I'd rather use it anyway because it has the blue and the green connection. Guys, I'm pretty sure that we probably could have done it in my green truck or my dad's truck, but ultimately I decided to do it this way. I forgot to tell you guys, unhook the battery anytime you're unplugging this, but look, we do not want to try to start it. We're just hooked up with HP tuners here. We've got it plugged in, so now we're going to turn the key to run, and look, it's not going to run if you try to start it, and we're just going to try to scan at this point. I just want to read this computer, and so I'm hoping this will give me the ability to do that. Let's see real quick. Oh, 2004 Yukon, that's good. And it was failing last night, so pretty sure that we'll be able to at least read it. At least it looks like it. Once we get it read, we're gonna go in and see if we can delete any VATs, the VATS, which I think vehicle something, I don't even know what it stands for, guys, but we're gonna delete that. We're gonna flash it back into this, which you're gonna have to buy credits for. I was gonna buy credits for that Yukon anyway because we gotta do the power or the fan swap. So either way, I was gonna buy the credits, and so once you own the credits, you can make as many changes as you want. So that's ultimately my plan anyway, and I'll show you guys what I'm going to delete, and then we'll show you the flashing back in, and then we'll take it out, put it in the Yukon, and see if the Yukon works, and then obviously put the stock computer back in here. But one thing I do want to emphasize is make sure that you unhook your battery while you're doing any kind of PCM swap. Once you've scanned it and it looks like we had a success, I did save it as a stock file. And then if you go over here to systems at the very top, we're going to go to see the VATS control to serial. We're going to go to none. All right. And that is literally the only thing that I'm going to change. You could go to column lock, but it says not fitted, so this doesn't have that option. But that's pretty much all I'm going to change, guys. I'm going to flash this back in, so this means it's going to make me register this vehicle, the VIN number anyway, off the computer. And then once I do that, I can save it and flash it back in, which is just this guy here. Then we can pull it out, and I'm not going to show you guys any more of this process. Once we get it flashed, we'll see if that fixes it. Got it in there. I didn't put the cover or anything back on just to see, but the battery's hooked up. Let's try it. That is not it, guys. Still not working. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna see if I can hook my scanner up now that that's deleted, and see if there's maybe a disconnect between the two. I don't know what would be causing the issue, but definitely something going on. Unable to hook to the computer still. Here's what I did. I went ahead and got a new battery. I actually think it's probably a ground issue. I really do. I'm thinking that somewhere in our ground system, which you guys, if you remember, I ran some new grounds to help with the throttle body issue, but it was actually a throttle body. But what I'm going to do is I've cleaned these off really well, and I'm gonna put a new battery in. We're gonna give it a shot. Obviously, if that's not it, then we're gonna chase some grounds. So there's several grounds in these things. The one back here, which is pretty common to fail, the one that goes from the firewall there, you can see the little pin goes back to the back of the block. There's another one over here, and I'm thinking that one could be part of our problem as well, grounds to the back of the head. And then there's another one down here, the second part of your ground. So this big ground goes down to the block. The little one here goes right underneath, so we're gonna look at that next. And then there's one under the door that I want to look at. So let's get the battery in, see if that helps anything. I mean, worst case scenario, it could be like a short in the battery. I don't think that's the problem, but we're gonna put a new battery. That one was older anyway. I've got a new AGM to put in. Let's get it in and give it a shot again. Well, the doors are unlocking, but they did that before. You can see that I tore some stuff off under the dash and found some wire from a previous stereo, but that's not causing our issue. So we got lights on the dash, which is good, but we still have nothing. So now that we have lights on the dash, I'm gonna use, I didn't have that a while back. So we're gonna pull this relay back out for the starter, and we're gonna jump it and see if we can get the starter to hit.
Well, guys, no such luck. I've tried to jump across the starter. The problem is I don't think we're getting power here. It seems like after testing it, but I'm not convinced it's the starter. I'm just not. They generally just don't go bad like that. Now, could it be? Yeah, but here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna climb under here. I'm gonna clean off all these grounds. Like I said, underneath this right here, I'm gonna clean off these terminals. I actually used my meter to test the ground on these guys, and it seems to be good. So I don't know. I'm still thinking maybe a ground issue with the body control module possibly, or the PCM. And the body control module ground is under the driver's door. The PCM ground is supposedly the one back here on the head. So I'm just gonna kind of wiggle things around, see if I can get somebody out here to help me try to start it while I'm wiggling things around and see if we get anywhere. Guys, I am striking out left and right. Just got through, well, this is actually the next night. I cleaned all the grounds last night, every single one of them, tested them all. They all seem to be good. So the one that goes to the back of the block there, the one underneath, I did find some wires that were rubbing on the steering column, which I am going to have to address, but that is not the issue. Check the ground that goes to the back of the head there. It's good. Cleaned all the ground mating surfaces, the one behind the bumper, the one under the door that goes to the body control module. Every single one of them works. I also pulled out the starter, jumped across it. The starter is working, so it's definitely not the starter. But what I have noticed is, and I've checked every relay probably 2 or 3 times. I have checked every single fuse 2 or 3 times, and ultimately it's not a fuse. But I only have just me here right now, so I'm gonna have my wife or son come out here and try to crank it over. We're gonna test the ignition fuses to see if they're getting power when you hit the key. One in particular here, which is the crank. So this little 10 amp right here, we're gonna test that when somebody's actually turning the key, so I'm gonna need 2 people to do that. I'm gonna check the ignition ones. There's a couple other 10s in here for ignition. I'm gonna check those, because what I'm thinking, and what I'm almost down to, is the body control module. And the only reason I'm thinking that at this point is last night when I hooked the battery up, when I first hooked this new battery up, I got a rear gate error, like it was open. And that is generally a telltale sign that your body control module is bad, when you have these random things that think they're open. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to put the key in the run position. I'm going to get under there. I'm going to jump across the starter. Normally we could try to jump across it right here, but we're not getting power to this. So we know it's at least, it's got to be from here back. I really think it's a body control module, but I just want to give it a shot to try to put the key in, turn it to run, jump across the starter, see if it fires, and go from there. Then we will attempt to pull the body control module out, possibly get a used one or a new one. They're not really cheap, and I hate throwing parts at stuff if we don't know it's bad, but there's really not a great way to test the body control module. So I just jumped across the starter, and listen, we're running. So there's definitely something going on with the body control module or the starter. Something that's triggering the starter is going on. So I don't think it's an ignition module, but it could be. But we're gonna have to do some more testing, but at least we've got it actually running at this point. Well, I still think we have an issue, but here's what I did notice. I don't know if they would call these fuses. I mean, I guess they are, because they're labeled with like 60 amp, 50 amp, 40 amp. I was rechecking these and I noticed that this one was blown. You can see it's at ignition A, there's an ignition B, and I was just gonna go back through and test everything, but that one was blown. When I jumped across it, I had my wife start it here. It started right up with the key. So I still feel like there's something going on, but at this point, I ran a temporary wire up here, all old school fashion, like turn the key on. And so I can at least drive it for now until I continue to do some diagnostic. But is the key on? So you can see it starts up. It's not my preferred method, and obviously we're not going to keep it this way, but it gives us an idea I'm gonna see if I can find one of these. I don't even know if a local parts store carries this. It's a pretty oddball fuse. I was hoping my parts truck had it, but apparently the newer style got a little bit different setup. But either way, at least we have an idea what's going on, and maybe we'll put a fuse in it and continue to see. I still think there's an issue with the body control module, and that could have been the reason that the fuse blew, or maybe an ignition issue. But let's run and see if we can get one of these. Here's what I've concluded. I still think we have an issue somewhere, but I don't know if I told you guys earlier, when I was under this thing, making sure all the grounds were good, some of these wires that come out of this box here, so this lower one here, were dragging on the steering column. One of them was worn through. I pulled that out of the loom, taped it up, but I'm wondering if that's what popped this fuse right here, this ignition fuse. I'm assuming it may have, and that could have been my problem. Now, when I said I tested all the fuses, that's my bad, because I did not look at these. They don't really look like fuses to me, and luckily my neighbor had one, so we are rocking and rolling now. Actually, it starts right up, and I've still got my wire that I ran up here just in case. I zip tied all that stuff up. Whoever had this thing before obviously put a power steering pump on or a steering box, and they put the wires in the wrong spot, and the only way to fix it is to move the power steering lines, and I'm not going to do that right now. Now, I probably will fix that when I lower it, but for now, I've just got them zip tied up to the hard lines on the power steering line, so they should be out of the way, not be dragging on the column anymore. But that makes sense, because as they were probably driving this thing, I'm assuming that probably what happened is that rubbed through, blew that fuse, and then it wouldn't start. So I'm excited to have it going again, guys. I was really getting, I still think, like I said, the body control module has some issues, because I get that rear gate issue, and honestly, that was my next step. If I couldn't get it going, or figure out what was going on, when I had my wife out here testing these, the 10 amp here for the ignition, I wasn't getting any power. Once I fixed this ignition one, though, I did, and the crank trigger, and then the 10 amp ignition, everything was good. So it's fixed, which is exciting, guys, because I have been driving that Nissan truck since I basically sold everything. I've been driving the Nissan up there, and I hate driving that thing, because especially this time of year, it has no AC. It's not a factory AC truck, and you can see I got dirt all over my face from being under this thing and zip tying some lines up. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was full of all kinds of stuff. It took us a while to figure out what was wrong with this thing, but I will let you know if the body control module goes bad, and we'll go through the programming process of that, because it can be programmed here. You do not have to be at a GM dealer. So if I do have to put one of those in, obviously I will show you guys. But like I said, I know this video is full of all kinds of stuff. You got to see the new black truck, or the new to us black truck. If I found a set of wheels, I told you guys I wasn't gonna do anything. If I found a cheap set of wheels, I might throw a set of wheels on it. My son has been daily driving it. But then we had this one broke down. We sold two, so a lot going on. But if you guys did enjoy this video, please, like always, smash that thumbs up button, guys. If you are not subscribed, go down there, hit that subscribe button. Of course, ring the bell icon that notifies you every time we drop a new video. And stay tuned to see what we work on next.